Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Cub Chat Live. You're seeing a familiar face today. This is none other than Audrey Oaks, who is, if you'll remember, the vice chair of Cub Scouts. We're super lucky to have you here today, Audrey. Thank you so much for joining.
It's a pleasure to be here again. I love this.
We have a really fun topic today, and I know it took you a bit of prep work. So
Mhm.
I definitely would love to hear a little bit about how we came up with this. But guys, what we're doing today is we have culled social media for your most popular questions. Okay, we're going to
Mhm.
try to tackle five, maybe more, but at least five today of the most popular questions you have about Cub Scouting. And guess what? We're getting answers, right, Audrey?
We are. We're going to do our best. We're going to do our best to answer all these questions.
So, how did you find these questions? Did you have any help digging?
Well, so for Cub Scouts at the national level, we are really interested in hearing what today's families need, what today's families want, and maybe some of the points that are not as efficient as they could be, because that is what the National Cub Scouting Committee is all about. Is we're trying to improve and streamline, make it fun, simple, and easy for everybody involved. Fun for the scouts, simple for the leaders to understand and deliver, and easy for the parents to understand as well and move forward as family scouting. So when we looked at, we have some fantastic social media sites, which are controlled by or admin by volunteers. They do not have any sort of uh, legal standing, but they are just a place for folks to get together and get some answers and share some tips and delivery methods and things like that. The National Cub Scout Committee is we work on content, helping to deliver content of the program, but the delivery is up to the councils and the individual leaders. So it's a great format for that. So we looked at a lot of these and got input from the admins of what are some of the most commonly asked questions, and we thought that we would get a shot at giving you some answers and then moving forward with that.
This is exciting to the audience. We're already getting some comments saying, great. We've got Pack 84 watching. Shout out to you guys. Hello. Keep these comments coming, guys. If you have questions as we go along about Audrey's answers, feel free to chime in. And though we may not get to them all today, this could potentially and probably will be a series. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a question to get answered, definitely comment with it. That's how you get it to be a common question on social media. And we'd love to provide some clarification or come back through and answer later. But I think we should jump right into it. So, Audrey, one of the questions that we see a ton is, can Webelos work on AOL advancement?
Yes, so that's a great question. And we understand that some of the things seem a little bit confusing, and we're working to streamline that. And we're hopeful in the near future that we'll be able to um, do that exact thing, make it easier as we hear from our audiences. But once you become have achieved your Webelos rank, you can work on the AOL award. Absolutely. You electives are not tied to either grade, so they can be accomplished at any time. So there's freedom. There's freedom with that. They're not designated to fourth or fifth grade. And the other thing that you would need to know is that um, Era of Light does start in fifth grade. And once you're in fifth grade, you can't go back and do your Webelos. So it doesn't go both ways. It does go one way. Like you can complete your Webelos and then work on your Arrow of Light. But once you start fifth grade, you cannot go back and complete your Webelos. So as our program year starts June 1st. So once you're June 1st and in fifth grade, you're only working on Arrow of Light.
Okay, clear answer. If
And
anybody is looking
and
for
well, and I mean, if you want to look up the technical details, I've got them written down. It is from Guide to Advancement, section 4.1.1.4. And we know that this is confusing. So we're working on streamlining that. So, but for right now, this is how it is.
it makes sense. It's straightforward. You just answered many people's question. Rob says this is a great idea for a show. We've got Pack 61 in Delaware in the house. Western Nebraska's watching. Audrey, I always throw a curveball. I even said that we weren't
Uh-oh.
going to throw in a bunch of extra questions, but by virtue of these questions, or what where we've scoured for these questions, there are a lot of the questions that volunteers or parents who are already in the program might have. But we have
Mhm.
somebody who's asked a question that I think you know the answer to, and I'd just love to throw it at you. Danny says, "What are the ages for Cub Scouting, and how do I sign my kids up?"
Well, that's a great question. And so the we have everything from, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read my technical notes. Um, Lions are kindergartners, and they can't join until the fall. That's a hard rule. And then each one is grade level beyond that, and up to, and this is where it gets the technical part. And you could always look at the application for the joining requirements. But when you go into Scouts BSA, it's a little like, if you do this and this and this and this, then you can get it. So that's why I'm going to read that part. It says, if you complete the fifth grade and are at least 10 years old, or have earned your Arrow of a Light award and are at least 10 years old, or are age 11 but not yet have reached age 18. So that's why at the end it gets a little confusing when you complete and move on to Scouts BSA. Our hard start is fall for Lions, and that's fall of kindergarten. All other program years start June 1st. So it's June 1st of whatever grade you're going to be in. So hopefully that answers that.
Definitely. And there was a URL behind the scenes Brian put up on screen. Here we go, beascout.org. You can just do
Yes.
beascout.org, and that's where you
Mm-hmm.
can sign up and you can see a recap of what Audrey just said. Um, Shayna's excited about this episode. Thanks for watching, Shayna. Hello from Pack 144. Hello from Pack 304 out of Circle 10. They're our neighbors. Guys, keep these comments coming. Okay, back to our top questions from social media. Next up, we've got, I like this question. It's a common question right now. I've definitely heard it, and I feel it with not just our brand, but with others. What can I do if an item is sold out at Scout Shop?
Right, right. So this is a point where we all need to be kind, right? A scout is kind and show a little grace. Worldwide, global supply chain shortages are a real thing right now. I have a small business. I'm seeing it there. I'm seeing it at my local grocery store. It is affecting our supply chains. So that is a reality. So please be patient. No one is on purpose, trying to delay anything or not have it available. So the other thing to note is that if your local scout shop, your national scout shop, does not have an item, you can ask them to search all other national scout shops and have it shipped to your store. So that way you don't, obviously you don't have to drive to a different state to get it. And so that is an excellent way to do it. A couple things to note is that there were some retired things probably about 3 years ago. And honestly, our supply chain is just catching up to that. So the other thing that you can notice or have looked up at a National Scout shop is whether this item is a retired item or it's just a supply shortage. They have a retired item list, and they'd be able to tell you that. So sometimes it's something from a couple years ago, and maybe you're just not aware that it was retired and is no longer being supported by the program. You can still, award things that have already been accomplished. But that's a great thing to do, is to ask them those questions. Is it retired, or is this just a supply issue? If it's a supply issue, then we can search national and get that sent to you. There's also going to be something to look forward to. March 18th, the next Cub Chat, well, not the next Cub Chat Live, but on March 18th, Cub Chat Live is going to be a talk all about the upcoming retired adventures. And so everything will be available until they're not, until it's sold out. So there will be a lot more information on that. And I do know the last thing that I want to, brief on is there's been a lot of comments on social media about the Space Derby being not available anymore, the products. That is not what we wanted to happen, but what happened is, unfortunately, the manufacturer went out of business due to some of the COVID-related business issues that a lot of small businesses are having. So there is no supplier. So if local people can come up with some sort of alternative, by all means, do the space derby. It's so much fun. And we hate to see that problem, but that is not one that we were able to control in any form. So um, that's just a note there.
Okay, you just answered a huge question that I hadn't really heard the answer for either with Space Derby because we do get that question a lot. And the
Yes, I
packs
see a lot.
into Space Derby are into it and they do a really good
Oh, I
job.
loved it. Yeah,
But they're also like
yeah,
inventive, so they're coming up with other ways to do it. Guys,
right,
definitely use social media to your advantage.
right.
Join some of these volunteer groups, talk with people. I will even add that on to if you can't find something at Scout Shop, if it's retired, you really need it because you're just completing part of your Cub Scouting journey.
Hmm.
Ask around. People have, spare
Right,
parts and things, or they
right.
might have an idea of what else you could do instead.
Exactly. And I saw some person to person. Hey, our pack is we're not, we're not doing it. We actually bought ahead. We've got a few things. I'd be happy to ship it. That kind of thing is fabulous. Everyone helping each other, supporting each other. That's fantastic.
That's right. And the Scouters are prepared. They're definitely
Yes.
living the motto. So, join these Facebook groups, ask around for sure. And
Hmm.
if you're not in one, it's not just like talking like logistical items. Often there's idea sharing and best practice sharing, and this
Hmm.
is how we do it, or here's a template I want to share with you guys. There's a lot of that going on in these groups. So, be a part
Absolutely.
of
And that's the kind of thing I'm not going to be answering because that's a delivery issue and or not issue, but a delivery tip. And those kinds of things, scripts and pictures and all that, that should be generated from the people and from the local councils and what's important to them and things like that. I'm just sharing things that are, maybe more policy or program ideas or something from a national supply side.
Absolutely. We love to hear the answers. I'm not sure if I gave a shout out to Pack 93, but shout out to you
Mm.
guys, Pack 3005 in Tennessee. Rob says, as a commissioner, he's giving us a check mark. He gets asked these questions a lot. Christine, Pack 170 in Bossier City, Louisiana. Hello. Pack 810 in Connecticut. Thanks for watching. Arnold, I see your question. You got to tune in on March 18th and ask that one again as we teased that show. Wendy is saying there's a lot of great information here, as always. Okay, I hope you guys agree as we get to our third question on the docket. If a child joins a den late in the year, how do they complete the requirements? How do they get them all done?
So we're going to recommend that you talk to them. How late a year is it? I mean, talk to the parents. Is this a goal of theirs to actually complete the rank award? Because you don't have to do that. You can be in Cub Scouts and just have fun and just do whatever the program is from that point. You don't have to have a badge of rank award, a rank award, excuse me. But if they do want that, if that is a priority, then again, you're talking to the parents. How can we accomplish this? Are you willing to do this as an at-home activity and then bring in the results and then they'll enter it into Scout Book? Or sometimes den leaders, I saw some really wonderful den leaders who put together like a Saturday event for catch up. That is not required. That is way over and a lovely thing to do. But I would just start that conversation. How important is that to the cub and their parents to have that done? And how can we accommodate that? How can we make that happen? We know den leaders are incredibly busy people, and we are ever so thankful for their volunteerism. And we don't want to overload anybody. So start that conversation. And remember, they can just have fun because they're learning from that point forward. They're participating, they're growing in character. And sometimes that part, we get really wrapped up on that part. It's an important method, but it isn't everything.
It goes back to do your best, right?
Right, exactly. Do your best. Yep.
I love that. That's a really good clarification for our leaders because it's easy to just really get in the grind, get into the like
It
advancement
is.
mindset
It is.
kind
And
of.
sometimes pulling back and like, is this fun? Is this fun? Are we building character in these youth? And if we are, then we are accomplishing our goals.
Love it. And that's going to lead us into our next question. Quick shout out to one of my favorite scouting friends, Barb, who is watching. Hey, Barb. Um, okay, if you are a Cub Scout volunteer, you probably have this question. If you're a volunteer that has to do anything with working with youth, you probably have this question. Honestly, if you're just a person living on Earth, you might have this question. Do you have any advice for handling snarky parents or volunteers?
Ooh, sometimes you just have to shake it off. Indeed, I
That's
love that. I love that they put that together. That is so awesome. Well done.
it is good. Taylor says
Yes,
it well.
it does. And so that was fun, right? Cub Scouts has to be fun, and whatever we're doing, or we don't retain people. So, and it needs to be fun for us too, right? Um, so that is the bottom line. We don't know what people are going through. We don't know what happened in their day. We don't know um, what's going on in their life, or maybe what bad past experiences they had. So it might not even be about you. It might not even be something personally, anything to do with you. So if you just let it go and be kind, and do your best, that's really what you have to do. And that's the end of that one.
I like
But
it.
I mean,
Do you
if you want to do more training, you can talk about communication and how to be a good leader with communication, making sure you're doing your part, that everything is clear and it's good communication, good listening. Good listening sometimes really is the key. So yes, you can go off onto a training module on your on that and on good leadership. But in general, be kind.
great advice. Just, the idea of just keeping it in perspective and do your best definitely goes for our volunteers too.
Hmm.
Lisa,
Hmm.
who is our often guest on the show, our often host, saying, "Shake it off, Audrey." I love that.
That's right.
You brought the energy. um, guys, keep the comments and questions coming. We would love to give you some shout outs. This is another really popular one that I've seen quite a bit. How do I sew on all these patches?
Yes, I think we've all been there on that one, right? So there are some thoughts. One thing is you don't have to. You can uh, go to your local scout shop, your local national scout shop, and or a dry cleaner, and they will do it for a fee, and they do a really good job, and it's fairly reasonable. And for a lot of families, really busy families, that's the way to go. You really don't have time, and they do a good job. The other thing is a tip that our director said is that he uses monofilament. So he uses it looks like fishing line. It's clear, and you can put it in a sewing machine, and then you don't have to change thread like all these times, and it's sort of hidden. Um, he so that's a great tip for actually doing it if you're going to do it with a sewing machine. Um, I recommend a sewing machine. You just put in a heavier gauge needle and work with it. Some people do use a little bit of seam tape to stick it, tiny bit, tack it. I wouldn't do a lot, and that just holds the patch in place while you do the sewing. Um, I'm a pretty decent seamstress, so I can use pins and keep it steady. Let's see, did we have any other tips on that? I think that was it. So uh, you don't have to do everything if you have a dry cleaner available that can do that for you, or your National Scout Shop. And that was a learning experience to me. I did not know they provided that service. And apparently some councils are very spoiled, and they're already council patches are already on the uniforms that they buy there. So I'm not that spoiled. So you guys who have that available, great job.
I'm glad you said that too, because I've heard multiple parents are like, I didn't know that scout shops did that. They do, so definitely ask.
Yes, and the last tip I would give is one that I've used is I do use Velcro, like for a patch that I know is going to be changed. I will sew a little square of Velcro on, and then I can change that on and off if I personally have multiple roles or something like that, that I know a year patch, your standards of excellent patches or something like that has dates that you want to change often.
I haven't heard that as a suggestion, but I like it and it makes sense. And Velcro can be pretty hardy, so
Yeah, and you would do it just like a patch. Actually, we recommend sewing it. It does have sticky, but that's gonna come off.
sure, especially if you're gonna wear
Hmm.
it out in the field. Okay, we have time for a couple extra questions, actually, and
Ooh,
I'll really,
bonus questions. Woo!
yeah, just a couple more. I know we gotta let you go soon. But first up, this is a big one. I wonder this myself. How do I get more adults to help?
So that one you could spend hours on, but some of the quick and ideas is to try to get everyone to have a task that they choose. I know there's multiple different methods that I've heard of. Um, you know, one is personally asking. If you just throw something out there, it's kind of like what you do on Facebook. You throw a question out, as like one person may answer, you're not going to get any results. You need to personally invite. So if you personally invite someone to, could you bring a cake next week, or could you bring in 4 pencils, or whatever it is that you need. If you ask them personally. Another method I know is somebody puts post-it notes on a board, and each one has a small, doable job on there, and then they just have the parents go pick a post-it note, and then they know that that's been taken care of. So that's a great way. It's kind of like the agile thing where you put post-it notes everywhere, only it's for volunteer tasks. Um, there is a Cub Scout Live video from August 6th, 2021, where they detailed this a lot, called Everyone Volunteers. And so I encourage you to look that up. We have Cub Chat Lives. Oh, there we go. There's the graphic. We have Cub Chat Lives on a lot of things now because we are trying to be very collaborative and listen to our audiences and make sure that what they need are covered as time moves on. So please go back and look at those, the Cub Chat Lives under scoutingmagazine.org, and that will give you a list of all of them. And this particular one, again, was Everyone Volunteers. Volunteering does not mean you're a registered leader. Doesn't mean you have to. There's a technical, a registered leader is someone who's done youth protection and pays their fee and trains and all that. But parents and anybody can help as a volunteer. So, and then the last one is work on building those relationships within your pack. Just the idea of encouragement, everybody helping each other to make this fun and easy and simple is we highly encourage that. And we do know it's difficult, and we do know everybody's busy. So those are
Right.
some tips.
That's why we need more volunteers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you gave a shout out to one of our past episodes. I'm so glad Brian, behind the scenes, Brian was ready to put that URL up on the screen. We haven't gotten to talk a whole lot about that URL yet, so I'm glad we've got it. But if you wouldn't mind putting it up one more time, Brian, that's a resource where you can see all of the shows that we've already done. You can search for topics and you can see what we've got queued up for the next few weeks. So this could be a
Mm-hmm.
really valuable resource if you're planning when you're going to tune in, if it's worth it, which, spoiler, it's always worth it. These are always good. Any question you want answered. Speaking of questions we want answered, okay, this is something that could use some clarification, especially to a new volunteer. How do the Cub Master and the committee chair roles differ?
Mm. Yes, and they do differ, and that's an important thing to note. They are actually very different roles. So the Cub Master is all about the kids. They are the master of fun, if you will. They're responsible for running the pack meetings and a lot of the interactions with the youth. I know I say kids. I try to say youth. And so the committee chair is really all about the adults, and they're responsible for the pack calendar, pack meeting assignments like flag ceremony and type of activity and cleanup and things like that. They work with the adults, and so sometimes it's good to make sure that is parents understand that difference, and so if you have announcements at a pack meeting, maybe The ones that go for the adults, like your dues are, due at this time or whatever it is, whatever announcements they are, that if it's adult related, that the committee chair makes it. And if it's youth Cubs related, that the Cub master makes it. And that way it helps parents to understand that there is a little bit of a difference. Um, the Cub master is making it fun and interesting and interactive. And the committee chair is really the adult, leading the adult committee and making those kinds of choices.
Very good. Well, I'm so glad that we got through all of our questions and a bit more. Looking at what we've got queued up on these question lists, we're going to need to do this again. Today we talked a lot about like volunteer roles, a little bit of advancement, what have you, but there's like some down and dirty questions that I would just love to hear answers on, about like the comforts when you're doing some kind of your first camping trips with Cub Scouts, and how to manage Cub Scouts with other activities, how to demonstrate that value for parents in your pack. Um, Thank you so much, Audrey. This was a very fun episode, I'd say, and it made our audience very happy.
Yeah, I'm still dancing to shake it off over here.
Me too. That's really what I want to do, is just play that song again.
It's Friday. Yay!
Well, thanks for your time. Everybody watching, we will be back on Tuesday for Trek on Tuesday. It's going to be a really exciting one. And then, of course, next Friday at 2 p.m. Central, Cub Chat Live will be back. It's going to be another fun episode. I don't think it's going to have any music involved, but we are going to be talking about some of our favorite Cub Scout crafts. So that's kind of very interesting to our audience, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cubs are always, we always try to come up with new interesting things or important announcements or just things to make it fun, simple, and easy.
You guys heard it. She knows all the answers. She's the answer queen.
I wouldn't say that, but we do our best.
You've done a fabulous job, and I learned a few things I took notes on myself.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.